Welcome to the Worth It Practice podcast. So today I wanted to talk with you about something that's a little bit controversial. Today we're going to talk about what I see as a myth in the private practice industry. You might feel a little bit attacked by it, but I just always like to tell it to you straight. So today I'm going to talk to you about the myth of the dream where you quit your job and you're working in part-time private practice, seeing only 12 sessions a week, working only 12 hours a week, and then going back to your life. Unfortunately, I do not believe you can have this, especially at the beginning. So I know I just said something controversial, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. You all know that. I listen to 15 hours of business podcasts a week. I listen to all of the podcasts in this space. And one thing I keep hearing coming up again and again is this private pay dream. So the private pay dream is that you can see 12 clients at these extremely high premium fee rates, and then you'll have all of this time to do other things and take care of yourself. So basically you can work like 3 hours, 4 days a week, or you could work 4 hours, 3 days a week, and then just have all this time to do other things. And you can do this because you're charging a premium fee. I think the danger of this myth is that when clinicians come out into private pay, when they leave their other job and they're like, I'm going to do this, and then they sit down to build their business, they're really confused and disappointed when all of a sudden they're actually working maybe more than they've ever worked before. They're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week for the beginning of starting their business. And then they come to me and they say, why is this happening? Am I doing it wrong? And the answer is that what we forget about is the fact that there are seasons in business. So seasons in business means that there are going to be times where you are working really hard to build something. And then there are times when you're able to take a step back and relax more. So when you initially open your practice, you are going to work a lot. Why? Because you have to create everything. You have to build the container for your practice. So you're going to be working on your branding. You're going to be working on your core values. You're going to be working on your niching. You're going to be working on your website design. You're going to be working on your networking. You're going to be working on your paperwork. You're going to be working on these annoying little indexing tasks you have to do. Like, you are going to be working so hard when you get started in order to build the thing that you actually have. When I started Thriving Child Center, I started it on Saturdays because I didn't want to just jump fully in to practice by myself with no buffer, with no savings. And while I was starting it on the Saturdays, I had for probably 6 months before been working on it. I'd been creating the business, designing the business, getting photography done, getting my website set up, getting my paperwork figured out, getting my EHR figured out, learning how it all worked together. So I didn't just show up on the first day and everything was complete because I did it on the first day. I had been working hours. So I'd been going to my job at the hospital, coming home, working on the business. And then when I had enough set up, that's when I started actually seeing clients in person. And then I had to work more on the business again. So when you start your business, you have to be prepared to create it. So you can work on creating it while you're working for somebody else if you want to, or you can leave your job, which sometimes you actually just need to do for your own mental health, but then don't sell yourself a story that right away you're going to be able to work part-time and still have this thing be created. You are going to need to create it. And I'm not saying that to make you feel bad or to tell you it's not worth it. I think it's incredibly worth it to build your vision of what you want your business to be. But also it's important to have realistic expectations. So if you're like, I'm going to quit my full-time job to partially stay home with my kids, that might not be possible right away because you still have to build the container. Once the container is established, once your business exists and you have right fit clients flowing in, then things get easier. Then you're able to slow down. Maybe then you can have that part-time schedule. Although you are still going to have to keep networking, right? You are still going to have to keep marketing, but maybe not as much, right? Maybe at that point you have a system. If it's just you and you have a small caseload, that's when you can start to get into a place where you are able to have that dream. But it's going to take some time. That doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take a little time for you to establish that. Even once you establish that, there are going to be seasons or events that will make you work harder again. Not because you're doing something wrong, but that's because how business is. So, like, for example, I'm in a period of growth in my practice. And at the same time, I am frantically adjusting our websites for the SEO changes that happened in January. So last year, when I wasn't in this like growth season and when my SEO was working correctly, I could work on the practice, I don't know, 5 hours a week, 10, I didn't have to work that hard. Last night, full disclosure, I was up until 1 a.m. trying to fix some things. I worked all day, put my kids to bed, went back to work. Now, is that something I want to do all the time? No. Is that something I plan to do all the time? No. But this is a season in business where I expect to have to work a lot harder. And since I know that, since I know it can go like this, I'm not panicking about it. I'm not worried about burnout. This is just one of those like, get it together, tough it out, work really hard so I can relax later. So this is just how it goes. If you keep things small, you can probably keep your time from having to get really intense. But I don't know, maybe something will happen with your referrals. Maybe you'll need to re-network again. Maybe you'll have to do big changes on your website, and then the time spent will increase. So I'm just saying this to just prepare you so that you're not disappointed, so you can go into things realistically. And if you know that you're about to do something in your business, you're about to expand, or you're about to start, you can plan for the actual time commitment that it will take. You can warn your partner if that's important. You can just go into it realistically so that you're not incredibly frustrated. And then once you hit that goal and you can take a step back, then you can enjoy and reap the benefits and the rewards for your hard work. So I hope this is helpful. I hope I didn't burst your bubble too much, but I personally like to know reality. I like to know what's going on. And I assume that you do too if you're listening to this podcast. So that's my hot take. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful start to your spring. I hope your business is booming, and I hope that you are in the season of your business that you are enjoying, whether you're enjoying building and the dopamine that comes with that, because to be honest with you, I kind of love that part. Or if you calmed things down and you're able to take a step back and relax a little bit. Have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you next Tuesday.